Humans of the Cardboard, BANLIST Day. Happy BANLIST Day. I was at work today. Weird that they're doing like Friday. I think last BANLIST came out on a Friday. Today it's Saturday. Just weird days to be doing it. I think there's a YCS this weekend too, if I'm not mistaken. I've been paying super close attention, but kind of a bummer for anybody there because like now as they're playing the current format, they're just going to be thinking about the new list that's about to go into play. But I've heard it's big. I've looked at some of the stuff because it was 3 or 4 hours ago when it came out. But let's get into this thing. Let's just give me my thoughts here. Starting off here, band section, Linkuriboh. This one's weird to me because like anima exists. Like any argument you can make for Linkuriboh, I get it, right? Like a generic Link 1 that lets any level 1 monster become a Link monster, and then this gets into grave and it can do the thing where it tags out and comes back. It gives you the battle protection, which does matter. You read it and you think battle phase stuff is lame, but this card a lot of times is the difference between you getting OTK'd or not, and so it gives you another turn, especially in a deck like Snake Eye where you come back next turn with a plethora of advantage and like push, so that extra turn can literally be the difference between you winning and losing. Scary card. I mean, like I think we were always going to end up in a world where something this generic for all level 1s was going to get banned, but there's still a part of me that goes like, is anima still like 70 to 80% of this card, even for something like Snake Eye? This is obviously a hit for them specifically, but like, is just having anima still like giving you like a good portion of what Linkuriboh provided for the deck? I get it doesn't get the ability to dodge spells and targeting effects and stuff like that, but I don't know. Just something I wonder how much of a drop off it'll really cause. Next up, Baronne de Fleur. I did not expect this at all. You could even throw Savage into the same pool, right? 2 Omni Negate Synchros. Very generic, very easy to make. I'm kind of happy about this, right? Like, I didn't think Baronne would get hit, and I don't hate Baronne in general as a card, but I just think it's a little too accessible for everybody. I think Apollousa works because there's so much counterplay around it. It doesn't negate and destroy, and it only negates monster effects. So there's so many ways, and it's kind of small, right? But Baronne de Fleur is big, it's a non-negate, and it destroys. So, and then it even has the effect on the next turn to like pop something and, keep going. I think it's fine. I think for the overall health and creativity of the game, it's probably okay to not have super easily accessible Omni Negates in the game. Interruptions, sure. Good interruptions, fine. IP Masquerena, SP Little Knight, those things I'm okay with Apollousa. But when it's a full-on Omni Negate and one card can never beat it, basically, for the most part, because it just is at worst trading, it makes it a little tough. And then same thing with Savage, you could argue. As far as Snake Eye goes, these are the 3 hits on this ban list for them, and this is pure Snake Eye hits. I don't think any of these 3 hits really hurt Fire King Snake Eye that much. Linkuriboh, I guess, they probably still play. But again, like the anima thing, I think it's still fine. It's very minimal for them. But to be fair, they had kind of taken a back seat to pure Snake Eye in the TCG because everybody loves pure Snake Eye's ability to play a ton of non-engine. They can still do that because their main deck really doesn't change here for the most part. But what it does change, and I think is a big part of this, is pure Snake Eye now does not get to end on their double Omni Negate boards anymore. They're basically forced to go for the types of boards that are like IP Masquerena, maybe Apollousa, and go from there. But those types of boards are so much easier to play around, and I think the biggest thing here is the potential to beat them going second. It felt like they were so unbeatable because 2 Omni Negates, and then on top of that 2 or 3 interruptions from grave and the follow-up. But now if it's not Omni Negates, certain board breakers may be enough to kind of really threaten this deck even going second. I think about something like Soul Release, which was teased in the OCG as a good card in some of the Snake Eye matchups. It's obviously good versus Fire King because they don't really end on Omni Negates anyway. When this deck was ending on Omni Negates, the card wasn't that good because they were just going to negate it. But now you can clear their whole grave, and then you can go ahead and they don't end on Omni Negates anyway. So it's, you know what I mean? So then you just have to beat the Apollousa and the IP. And it, that's super beatable with 5 cards in hand going second. So I think there's some interesting dichotomy there. I don't think pure Snake Eye is even dead at this point. It's going to pivot. I just think it's a little more beatable than it was before. Which is cool, because nobody expected them to kill Fire King Snake Eye or Snake Eye on this list, and I think this is a somewhat good middle ground where they didn't have to hit any of the actual Fire King or Snake Eye's cards, but it does feel like the better variant does take a step back here. I don't know how far back, but back in some sense here. Last card banned, Summon Limit. This is just good to see. This card sucks. Fuck this card forever. I hate this card, right? Like, the only time it's good is going first. So it's a side deck card that anybody can play, because once you've already set up your board, setting this card means you just can't lose. Because even if they could beat your board, they can't beat Summon Limit. So card sucks. We saw them limit a bunch of the other floodgates on the last ban list. Really happy to see this one here. I think this is a great choice by Konami, hitting these, because these are way too popular right now. They just are, and I hope we pivot to less good, less degenerate, but still good going first options that aren't auto-winning you the game like it feels like Summon Limit does. Okay, next list, limited list. Arch Nemesis Protos, first on the list. Terrifying. As much as I want to praise Konami for putting Summon Limit banned, and also you'll see down here anti-spell to 1, which is a great move in my opinion, it does hurt that like they're also bringing back a searchable, nasty floodgate in something like Arch Nemesis Protos. Very scared of this. I hope it's just kind of the kind of thing where, like, when Sword Soul was arguably the best deck in the game, one of the best decks in the game, it was too good at that point, and maybe it's just their engine's not good enough where, like, it's totally fine that it exists right now. But I am scared, and whereas I don't think it's quite as great a floodgate, because it does have to pick an attribute, which doesn't always work versus every deck, versus something like Summon Limit, which kind of just beats almost any deck. It does feel like I just have that thing where, like, hard drawing Summon Limit is harder to do than just, like, resolving your combo. Like, if you just have combo, you get to Protoss and you get to a nasty floodgate. So there's that part of it. Again, Sword Soul Mate probably isn't that good. Good enough, at least, to make it crazy, but I am still scared of this card for sure. Title. We kind of guessed this one. We kind of knew this one was coming. Konami's been slowly releasing the Thunder or Dragon Rulers for a couple of months now, over the past couple ban lists. So totally cool. I think it's a cool card for actually a couple of specific water decks, but overall I don't think it's insane. I think it's fair enough. Thunder Dragon Colossus. Another scary one to go alongside of Arch Nemesis Protos. Now again, when this deck was at the pinnacle of competitive play, very, very scary, very, very annoying. But I do think it's worth mentioning that, like, Thunder Dragon hasn't really gotten new cards that make their engine significantly better. So I do kind of sit here and wonder still, like, is it kind of the same thing as Protoss? Even though this is a very easy to get to floodgate for Thunder Dragon, is Thunder Dragon's engine just doesn't hold up with the modern day standard for Yu-Gi-Oh engines? I don't know, but we're gonna see. Still scary though. No searching whatsoever. It's crazy. It's really scary. Magispector Unicorn Kyrian. I mean, this, I'm not even gonna applaud Konami for this. This should have come out last ban list. Should have come off last ban list, because about 3 months ago when we got the last ban list is when we actually got the new Magispector cards. So they made any fan of the deck pick up the new cards, have to play a shittier version of the deck when they like hoped that Kyrian should be unbanned. We knew Kyrian should be unbanned, and then they just do it 3 months later. I guess better late than never, but like whatever. It's cool to see. Chicken Game. This card, I'm not even gonna pretend like I know the best ways to utilize this card. I know this card is scary. I know this card is pretty good in certain decks, better than others. But honestly, this card was banned when I got into the game competitively, so I've never really played with it, and I actually haven't even read it in a while. I'm going to have to come back to Chicken Game and like really maybe do a discussion video on Chicken Game or something down the line. I'm a little bit scared, but I don't know. It doesn't see that much play in the OCG, and I believe it's legal for them, so it's not that crazy. And then Anti-Spell going to 1, cool. Same thing. I think at 1, it's not searchable. It's not all that searchable in too many ways, so it being a hard one-off you have to draw, I think is fine, just like the other floodgates that went to 1. All right, semi-limited list. Armageddon Knight, who cares? Who literally cares? Put that boy to 3, let him ride. No one cares. Pearly Delicious Memory is an interesting one, though. This card was put to 1. It was actually the first hit to Pirelli a couple ban lists ago, and then they put Sleepy, I believe, to 2 for an extra, I guess, consistency hit slash, you know, it's consistency in that you don't draw those cards, hard draw those cards as often, but it's also a consistency hit specifically because of, I don't remember the exact name of it, the continuous spell where it's reveal 3, Pearly memory cards from deck, and then 1 randomly gets selected to get added to your hand. When you don't have 3 copies of your best memory cards, you're never guaranteed to actually get the memory you want. So specifically with Delicious at 1, you only had a 1 in 3 chance of getting it. So that's not consistent at all with some of the lines you may want to do. Now at least at 2, you have a 2 out of 3 chance, and at the worst case, you're getting a Delicious, or not Delicious, right? You 2 Delicious and 1 Sleepy, sorry. Worst case scenario, you're getting the 1 off Sleepy, or the 1 Sleepy you put in the 3, but that's still like the next best one, if not the best one. So you're not like mad about it, but you at least it's more consistent in that regard, that your play is going the route you want more often than it was before. So it's cool. It's a nice little bump for them. There's been some power creep. Snake Eye really power crept Pearly pretty quickly, but I do think this card does help. It's more than just like a small little, they got 1 card worth of consistency better. That doesn't matter. I think it's a little more than that because of the interaction with the continuous spell. All right, and then for the unbans, these cards are completely off the list now. Destiny Hero Malicious goes from 2 to 3. This one's a little scary to me. Everybody hates the semi-limited list. I don't even blame them. It does feel dumb in a lot of ways. But I will say, Destiny Hero Malicious feels like the quintessential semi-limited card. Like, it feels like the one card that should, because it's not once per turn. And so summoning 2 bodies from deck just by dumping this card to grave is pretty strong. I guess the one downside of playing 3 of this card is that, like, if you ever draw 2 of them, it does feel pretty bad. But drawing 1 is fine because, like, so many decks have access, like, to a discard outlet, or there's generic cards that have discard outlets. So, like, it's not a huge problem, but it does certainly raise the ceiling of a handful of decks that may want to mess around with this. Tier Limit has messed around with Malicious, right? Because he can help make Beatrice for them. Obviously Heroes already I think play this card at 2 normally, so raises their ceiling a little bit better. Doesn't make them any less bricky, but sure. Just a little scary, I would just say, just because he's not once per turn. Harpour, who cares? Literally the difference between 1 and 3 Harpour is not that different. I don't think many players would play 3 Harpour. Maybe 2, just because, like, if 1 does get, like, banished face down, or 1 kind of gets stolen kind of thing, you may want the second copy. But, like, Orcus rotates all of its cards. Like, I don't know. It's not a card you particularly want to draw, and so since the deck already rotates their cards pretty well, like, from banish, like, it's not that big of a deal. So I think it's cool. Glad it's not mucking up the list anymore, and it works. Terratop, I love this, right? Goblin Bikers are even better now. They get an additional really awesome starter. This is maybe the best starter in the deck just because it doesn't take your normal summon. So this has to bait a hand trap if your opponent has it, and you still have it normaled. So if you have Tour Guide, if you have Doug, then you are good. But, cool. It's cool to see. It helps Speedroid Pure. There's not any really, like, super degenerate rank 3s like MX Saber, Invoker, or anything in our game right now to, like, make it insane. But I think it's just a generic good card. And you have to play a brick to play it. So, okay, we're fine. And the last one is Engage. This is another small one, I guess. I mean, theoretically, like, Sky Striker as an engine could be back, right? Like, because now you have, now the ratio is worth it. You know what I mean? If you want to play 3 Engage with 1 Hornet Drones and 1 Widow Anchor, maybe 1 Afterburners, maybe a Shark Cannon. I don't know. It depends on which ones you want to play. Eagle, did I say Eagle Booster? Depending on the type of deck you're playing. Like, right, you have the utility, but now you actually have 3 Searchers. Because, like, with only 2, it's one of those things where, like, in the OCG, when they hit the Fateful engine, the Adventurer engine, it wasn't worth it because you only had, like, 3 starters and 3 bricks. You were like, that's terrible. And the other striker cards aren't even bricks necessarily, but you do want to see Engage over the other ones normally. So that's cool. It's cool to see. And yeah, that sums up our whole ban list here. Quite a huge ban list, I will say. I mean, not everything is the most impactful hit in the world, but as far as movements go, we've got 4, 5, 6, 12, 16 different movements on the list. I don't disagree with too many of them. Maybe I have a little trepidation about Colossus and Protoss. I don't really disagree with any of these. I felt like these would eventually end up on here, even if they didn't do it here. No direct hits to Snake Eye or Fire King, so they're still, I think, going to be the cream of the crop, but I do think Fire King has weaknesses, and now I think Snake Eye shares a few more of those weaknesses than they did before. So, Cool. They're much easier to combat. And then a lot of quality of life stuff. A lot of decks that like kind of needed a little help, got a little help here. Just cool. And I think combined with like Legacy of Destruction coming out right after this ban list is pretty cool. And I think it's going to make for quite a bit of change to the format, which is pretty exciting, I think, overall. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. A little more in depth. Like, sorry, it's not a complete reaction. And just the day they released it, I was at work. And then by the time I got to it, I was like, there's already 30 reaction videos to this. This is a little bit more of like I had a couple hours or a couple minutes to at least think about some of these hits and how I really feel about it. Because sometimes when you see stuff in the moment, it's harder to get like the full range of your thoughts or have a second to really think things through, which I did have here. So hopefully that gave you a little extra insight there. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. Let me know your thoughts down below. Ooh, Calamity was missed on here. That's the one thing that I feel like it's just lame. It's not even that big of a deal, but I think I like Centurion as a deck, but they're boring because while Calamity exists, why would you ever just not play Calamity lock Centurion? So like when the new cards come out, you're like, cool, but like I'm still just kind of Calamity locking. So until they ban Calamity, Centurion's like still boring to me. So we'll see. I'm out here for today, though. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel for more news videos from your boy. Should still be having a pretty hype week next week as well. We definitely didn't get everything we have coming, so I'll keep you posted on all that. But stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.